I was hearing bully black 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 blah 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 blah. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing okay and everyone is doing well. Another day, another Love Island review, and our final review of the week. A lot for us to unpick and unpack. That was a very interesting episode. I feel like a lot of unwarranted comments were being made by certain people, and just a lot. Okay, a lot for us to unpick and unpack. So, as I usually and always say, number one, if you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe and definitely join the family. Also, be sure to follow me on my Instagram and also on my Twitter at @7listeningx. And number three, as I usually and always say, please get cozy and comfy with a lovely drink and let us get into today's review. Also, side note as well, before we actually do get into today's review, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone who sent so much love and prayers regarding my video that went live a couple hours ago and all of that whole situation. But you know what, God is still good and the enemy is a liar. But let us get into today's review before we start going to church. So let's start off with Whitney talking to Lachlan and also Ella talking to Ty about the entire situation. Whitney, of course, breaking it down to Lachlan why she called Ella selfish, saying that Ella definitely displays princess energy and why can't she clap for others, you know, you guys have been high for so long, etc, etc. And of course Ella at the same time was also talking to Ty. She got very emotional, you guys know, a few tears were shed, okay. And even Ty was like, over a shower, aka why is Whitney getting upset over a shower? And I just need everyone to like really, you know, get on their Zoom and just apply common sense here. I do genuinely think that Whitney has probably observed different things that Ella has done over the 7-week span that they've been together, and probably just said that because that was just the breaking point. Like, you guys also, as we always say, we're watching 1 hour out of 24 hours. I'm sure there are some things that probably weren't even aired that we haven't even been able to see as well. So I need everyone to get on their Zoom. At the same time as well, Tyrique, what's Tyrique saying? Pretty much just consoling her and also saying that Whitney can't take confrontation and conflicts, etc, etc, blah, 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 blah. Now, whilst all of this was happening, who comes over? Molly and Jess. Molly was like, you know, I'm gonna come over because I've literally heard the conversation and I just want you to know that I understand you. Now, Jess, on the other hand, and I've been saying this, guys, it's really weird because some episodes I really like Jess, other episodes I'm just like, no, she's a babe and there's something just so off about her. But you need to remember as well that yesterday when Whitney and Jess were beating up, Whitney and Ella were beefing, Jess literally was just like, oh, do you think they're probably upset because they're not the most popular couple? So whose side are you really on here? And I feel like people like that are literally flip-flops. You just need to be careful of them because you don't know if they're talking to you and they're also talking to your enemy. But yeah, Jess was saying that she can't get her own way. Molly was also saying that, Molly, to me, I genuinely feel like, this is just me being honest, because you guys know I have to be honest on my channel. I genuinely feel like Molly was just trying to use that as like a bonding session. Like, yeah, that wasn't nice. You don't deserve that. Like, babe, this is not woman in power. Like, the girl's upset. Okay, cool. Let's feel that. Let's understand that. But at the same time, my only reasoning as well during all of this was, yes, it's a shame she's crying, of course, because she is definitely hurt. But who is there for Whitney? Because I genuinely feel like, and I have been saying this, I feel like since Catherine left the villa, Whitney doesn't really have any real or close friends, and the person that I thought was close to her, aka Jess, is turning out to be a flip-flop. I don't seem to understand what's going on. So we need to really figure out who is really checking on Whitney during this as well. Everyone deserves the same amount of support, okay? I'm not trying to put side and side. I genuinely just feel like everyone deserves the same amount of support, especially within the girl friendship group as well. So let's move on to Scott, Sammy and Ty talking, and I just need everyone and their mum and their dog and their pet fish to be very serious right now. Number one, Sammy and Tyrique, I don't know who made you guys twin one, twin two, whatever it is, but you're literally Dumb and Dumber giving advice to Scott for what? So they come over, speak to Scott, and basically saying, oh yeah, like Tyrique, Mr. Opinion of the Villa, was like, I'm just going to give you my opinion. I just don't feel like you're genuine. I just don't feel like you like me. I just feel like you were playing a game. I just feel like, Sammy like, yeah, because my man cannot think for himself, okay? Sam was like, yeah, like, I actually agree. Like, bro, you need to understand it from my point of view. It's not about your point of view. And it's almost like, number one, someone even tweeted, does Ty want to couple up with Scott? I don't know. But why do they always have a problem when it comes to Scott's couple? What everyone needs to do is focus on their own couple. That's just the honest truth. Focus on your focus, because some of you seem to be doing the complete opposite. I didn't appreciate Tyrique thinking that his opinion was relevant, because at the end of the day, I could care less. And Sammy as well, do not follow, doesn't give a thing at all. Of course, Sammy was also saying, Ty was saying, I feel like I'm skeptical of you. And my thing is as well, it just comes down, and bottles down to favoritism in the villa, because when you really think about it, Sammy has literally done the same thing. He's even kissed other girls because you told him to, and all these different things, and then he's now come back like, oh yeah, Jess. Have you told Sammy that you're skeptical of him? But it's Scott who minds his business that you're skeptical of. Focus on your focus. That's literally all I have to say. You don't need to have an opinion for everything, okay? I say that whilst I make Love Island reviews. So next, let's move on to Mitch and Ella B having a little kiss, and then of course they ended up getting a text that the hideaway was open, and they decided to choose Jess and Sammy. Very interesting. I have already told you guys, unfortunately, the Jess and Sammy ship just isn't a ship that I'm on, which is it sad? I don't think it's sad. But it's just not a ship that I'm on, only because I just honestly cannot get the words and the things that Sammy said about Jess out of his mind. Like, don't get me wrong, people can change, but you don't change your whole persona and attitude and the way that you even take to someone within a couple. Like, you guys need to remember, this guy brought back Abby, was it Abby? No, Amber, that 19-year-old. Was it Amber? I think her name was Amber. He was telling Mal that I'm more attracted to Mal than da-da-da-da-da. Oh, Jess is attracted to me, I'm not attracted. It's too much. I don't know. I don't know if there's any backpedaling from that in my eyes. But of course, they ended up having a little interesting night. I don't want to say what I think took place, but I think something did take place because there was a lot of movement back there. Now, of course, let's move on to the following morning. We'll start off with the girls' chats and then lead to the guys. So the girls first, Jess was talking to Molly and Ella about the hideaway. Whitney said that she also stands by what she said, and that, what did she say? Oh yeah, and that calling someone selfish isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I just feel like she needs to be a bit more mindful of her actions. I'm quickly whizzing through this because I really want to spend some detail talking about the little one-to-one that they had. Ella B was saying that the smug comment was in a challenge, and that they shouldn't throw away their friendship under the bus and all that type of stuff. And Whitney said, listen, I can be, you know, I don't have to be friends with her, but I could be cordial with her as well. Ella was saying that she's in a really good place with Ty, so she doesn't want any of this negativity to affect that. I think for me that was quite an interesting comment, only because you cannot tell me that just because your relationship is fine with your boyfriend that you're not going to rekindle a relationship with your friend. I don't understand that. But it's quite interesting because I feel like there are actually some girls like that. Once it's my man, they actually forget about their friends in the process, which is very interesting. But like I said, we're going to get into that shortly. And then the boys' chats will speak about Lachlan saying that Whitney and Ella have a really good friendship and they shouldn't just throw it away. Now, let's move on to Jess, Sammy and Zach and Molly talking. And they were talking about the entire, you know, Ella and Whit situation. You can definitely tell that they are very prominent figures in the villa. And when they're not talking and when there's beef, the villa vibes are off, okay? Because there's no vibes, there's no talking, there's no giggling, there's no banter. It's just really weird and really awkward. Like, so awkward, you can literally slice it with a knife. So, of course, Zach was saying that if you give it, you need to be able to take it. But Ella was, of course, talking to Ty at the same time about her being really happy and the fact that Ty was also like, oh, maybe do you think Whitney thinks that, you know, like we're her enemies, that we're rivalry, we're rivals, sorry, and there's rivalry between us. Very interesting comment to make. Once again, I don't understand. I don't know, like, oh, yeah, very interesting comment to make, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do understand that they're not happy right now, but we don't need to be stretching and reaching that far. Those who have reached have not even reached that far yet. Okay. Of course, Whitney and Lachlan were talking at the same time, and he said he really wants them to be okay, and Whitney was just like, you know, everyone's just fishing. And the truth, yeah, everyone's fishing, sorry. And the thing is, right, I'll be honest with you, it's not that I don't think that Whitney doesn't know how to dish things out and take it. I feel like Whitney is just very real, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think she's very blunt. My friend Ira even tweeted this, shout out to Ira. But it's just about understanding that you can tell that Whitney, she doesn't just speak senselessly. I'm sure that she's overly analysed certain situations and assessed certain people and things that they do and things that they say, and she's literally just putting pieces to the puzzle together. And someone yesterday commented in my on my video like, oh, Sarah, you're so far up Whitney's ass. First and foremost, I'm not, but second of all, I like her. And the reason why, I'm going to tell you very shortly and later as well. Thank you. Now let's move on to, of course, them ended up getting a text that Whitney and Ella should get shooed, you know. Whitney and Ella should get ready for a one-to-one. Love Island producers are definitely switching things up, okay, because we are currently enemies right now, and you want me to go on brunch with her? You want me to go on a brunch date with someone that I'm not really talking to? Let's make it make sense immediately. Of course, Lachlan told her to make sure she doesn't tell her that she is the most selfish person that she's ever met. And Whitney was like, I stand on what I said. One thing I did note down though was Whitney actually sighed while you guys know I've been noting down the most interesting things, but Whitney actually sighed when she was walking up the stairs, almost like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to do this. And some of the girls were kind of like amping Ella up and, you know, speaking to her, making sure she was okay before, of course, their boyfriends, well, not their boyfriends, but their couples came into the room to also help them out as well. Once again, just reinforces what I said. It sucks so much that Catherine isn't in that villa, because I do actually feel like Catherine was low-key the glue between Whitney and Ella in the first place. I don't really feel like I really saw them have a really close friend bond slash friendship anyway. But now that Catherine isn't there, I just somewhat feel like Whitney is just a tad alone, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I think today kind of reinforced why I have been feeling that way as well. Of course, their guys coming in to help them get ready and also amp them up. I actually did find that quite cute, because it's always good to have a voice of reason in form of a man to kind of just help calm you down a bit more. Of course, what was very interesting as well was Ella did say that, I wrote this down, but I don't remember if I wrote it down in the right section, i.e. it was in the morning or this time, but I know Ella said it, and Ella did mention something like, oh, I'm not scared of Whitney. I just feel like you just need to be very careful with certain wordings, because I've been seeing the hate blogs and trains and threads of everything that some people have been saying about Whitney, and I do think it is actually quite disgusting. It's the same with like Catherine. I think some of you were even tweeting, oh, you're gonna go to Heathrow and meet her with a gun. I mean, it's really, guys, it's not that deep. After the season is over, please touch grass, all right? Actually touch grass, because it's not that deep. But to be calling someone like an N-word, and they're a monkey, and they're this, and just because of a little argument or something that takes place in the villa, I think is absolutely ridiculous. And I just feel like wordings are just very, very, very important. Like, you do need to be very, very, very careful with some of the words you put out there. And the whole scared word just didn't make any sense to me, because I don't think I'm about to say Whitney and Mitch, don't know why, but I don't actually think Whitney is a bully. Now let's move on, of course, to the one-to-one. Like I said, the producers are messy. Okay, now Ella said that she wanted to resolve things, but of course she was really hurt, and Whitney said, the thing about Whitney is Whitney kept saying, I do think you're the most selfish person that I've met. Ella started saying that, you know, it's because of the challenge, and Whitney said it's not just because of the challenge, but honestly we're just not friends. And what was quite interesting was, and I did note this down, I think why some people probably get annoyed with Whitney is the fact that Whitney doesn't necessarily match energy when she's annoyed, if that makes sense. Go watch her have conversations or arguments with people back. She's very calm, like calm spoken, so calmly spoken, better than me because I be shouting in it, but she's definitely calmly spoken, and she kind of tries her best to get all her points across. Like, there's no stuttering, there's no this. She pretty much says, okay, here's my point, explanation, analysis, link. Like, literally that's how she responds. And I feel like there was a point where it came across like Ella was kind of like shouting, and that's not how you communicate. Like, Ella was just like, no but wait, let's hear each other out, guys. Let's communicate, because nothing is going to get resolved unless we actually communicate in a very decent manner itself. Of course, and by the way, Ella does that with Ty as well, which I picked up on it. So I genuinely think it's just her communication technique. Of course, Whitney literally said it's not about the challenge, and that's why I want you guys to wake up, because a lot of you were like, it's because of the challenge, it's because of the shower. I think there's a lot more that actually comes into this. So of course Ella said that, you know, if you feel that way, then why are you friends with me? And Ella was like, it's been 7 weeks. If you felt this way with me, then that means that the friendship has always been fake. And Whitney once again did say that you like being a selfish person doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You can still be a lovely person with selfish tendencies. And I mentioned this I said yesterday, but today's review that I posted today, that even I won't lie, I have very interesting selfish tendencies. I think I'm a lovely person, don't get me wrong, but I do have selfish tendencies, especially when it comes to food. I don't have to play about my food or even my drinks. I don't know none of that. But I feel like from Whitney's perspective, maybe she could have worded it better, or maybe she didn't have to keep repeating it, but maybe just like communicate it to if she had communicated it to Ella differently, maybe Ella would have taken it differently. But at the same time, I feel like the word selfish is the only thing that's ringing in Ella's head, so she's not going to see or hear anything else if Whitney is still trying to communicate these things across. Of course, they ended up agreeing to not agree, and then they walked off. But of course, when they did get back to the villa, and everyone was like, how was the convo? Was everything okay? When it was like, it was literally a conversation. But then just before, you know, nighttime and everyone really glamming up, Whitney actually stopped Ella as they were walking past each other and actually gave her a hug. And Ella was like, no, what you said wasn't okay, etc, etc. And then Whitney apologized. I'm going to note this down again when it comes to it, but I don't think I heard Ella apologize, if I'm going to be very honest with you, which low-key reinforces what Whitney said. Let me know if you agree, disagree down below. I don't know, are you team Whit, team Ella, team none, team both? Please let me know it down below. So of course, nighttime hits. Prior to that, by the way, Ty and Lachlan were literally having a conversation about how the one-to-one was going. You know how guys are very calm and very laid back, but they pretty much just said they hope things are okay because they are definitely with very strong females, okay? They are coupled up with strong women, and strong can definitely headbutt. Now let's move on to the night time. So of course Ella and Tyrique were having a chat, and Whitney and Lachlan were also having a chat as well. They of course mentioned the fact that they agreed to disagree because they weren't actually getting anywhere. And I don't really have much to say other than the fact that, once again, boyfriends to the rescue, okay, or partners, couples, whatever. Just trying to lighten the mood. Tyrique at the end of all of Ella's talking was just like, anyway, I miss you, yeah? And then Lachlan was just like, oh, I think they were giggling about favourite couple and being smug, etc, etc. And then they also had a brief conversation about wanting to be exclusive, but also making sure it is at the right time. By the way, I do really like Whitney and Lachlan together. Some of you are just like, oh, Lachlan's not really into Whitney. He's only her option in the villa, blah, blah. But I low-key feel like he gets her personality. You guys need to remember, we've come a very long way, okay? A very, very, very long way. Whitney was coupled up with Mehdi at one point. Do you remember that guy? Because I remember that guy. So let's celebrate Lachlan whilst we can. All right? Thank you very much. Now, let's move on to Ella and Whitney now having a conversation. Of course, pulled her for a chat. She told him, let's switch, aka, I'm going to leave my guy to go with your guy, and you're going to come over here and let's have a conversation. Ella said once again that she doesn't need to use the challenge to master how she feels. And Whitney said, babe, you know me. I will always keep it real. I don't need to do the same as well. Anything else? Ella said they fight like sisters and that of course they shouldn't lose their friendship. They ended up hugging it out again, and I heard Whitney say sorry and I didn't hear Ella say sorry. Let me know if you heard it. I don't know if I heard it, but I do feel like, I think Ella said, oh, like, I accept your apology or something along those lines. I do feel like it would have been good for Ella to have said, do you know what the crazy thing is, guys? Let me just be honest with you. There is a likelihood that Ella did actually say sorry and the producers literally cropped it out, because the agenda is strong, honey. The agenda that the producers are pushing right now is very strong and very telling. And some of you are falling for the bait. Wake up, okay? Wake up. Now, let's move on to Jess now talking to Whitney about it. And the truth is, guys, I just can't take Jess seriously, and I just don't understand why. But Jess was just like, obviously, you know, maybe everyone should just be a bit more cautious with how they say certain things, etc, etc. And Whitney was like, okay, yeah, I understand. Like, if it ever happens again, definitely pull me up on it. And then Jess was like, yeah, definitely, I will. But I don't know, I just can't take Jess seriously. It's just such a shame, because I actually did really like her. I guess I do still like her as well, but it just gives me flip-flop vibes, and I don't understand why, but it gives me flip-flop vibes. Of course, they also had a little conversation with one another as well. Jess was saying that her and Sammy are in a really good place, and she really wants them to go on the outside and make it to the outside so that they can have a test. I don't see Sammy and Jess lasting. I have already said this. They probably, let's see, I don't know. But right now I just don't. And like I said, it's genuinely just because of the things that Sammy said in the past as well. But also at the same time, I feel like outside might be a reality check for a lot of them, that maybe they don't actually work as well as they thought they would. And that's okay, because that's normal. I mean, you guys are literally living in a bubble for 8 weeks. The outside is definitely going to be different. Now let's move on to Whitney and Lachlan as well. She was also saying the same. She wonders if this is real or if it is literally just a bubble. And like I said, I just think the season needs to wrap up. I'm definitely getting the vibe that the season definitely has to wrap up. And yeah, we'll see if the couples work on the outside, and if they do and if they don't. Now let's briefly move on to Abby and Whitney having a conversation. Abby was saying that, you know, if you ask me how I feel about, oh, Abby, Whitney and Lachlan, by the way. If you ask me how I feel about Scott, I'll tell you it's good, but I just don't know, because like Scott is a slow burner. Like, he hasn't even made me breakfast, hasn't even made me coffee, etc, etc. Whitney did of course say that if a man wanted to, he will, and that is facts, okay? Little relationship advice, please, you genuinely don't have to continuously keep telling a guy what you want. If he wants to do it, he will actually do it, if he really does like you. And I actually don't know if Scott likes Abby, but I feel like, unfortunately, Scott hasn't been dealt the best of cards there. If him and Catherine were in that villa, I definitely see them making it to the finals, but he doesn't have a choice but to get to know Abby until someone else comes into the villa, or until he's freed outside. So we'll get into that shortly, because of course they end up having a conversation. But once again, if a man wanted to, he would have. Now let's move on to Abby and Scott now having a conversation, and she was saying, you know, I just don't really know if you're a slow burner. I don't know if you know, Abby talks, I just don't know if like you're a slow burner, or if it's just because you just don't like me. But it's just like, I just don't know if you want to be with me. I just don't know. Like, you don't do certain things, you know, your actions, like you don't even make me breakfast, you don't even make me coffee. Like, I just don't know. So having that conversation, she ended up flopping by bringing Mitch into it, and Scott was like, I'm not Mitch. You need to understand the drama that has taken place with all of these couples. Don't compare me to Mitch. Of all people, don't even compare me to Mitch. Okay? Do not compare me to Mitch. But of course, Scott was like, I don't think about anyone else. And if you're, and she was just like, oh, but if you're a slow burner, like, we don't have a lot of time in here. We don't have a lot of time, and I just need to know. Like, I just need to know. Of course, what Scott said, if you feel like if he feels like his actions aren't the best, and they can definitely try to work on it. But I just feel, once again, Abby is very uneasy because she actually still likes Mitch. Guys, Abby has not stopped liking Mitch. I hope you know that. All this acting and all of this, it was all a facade. I'm telling you, she still likes that guy. Now let's move on to Ty and Sammy talking. Of course, Sammy decided that he wants to do a very big gesture because when they were in the hideaway, he's decided that, you know, he's ready. He's very serious. He feels like there's clarity. He feels like he's really got understanding of their situation, etc, etc. I was hearing bully blah 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 blah. The truth of the matter is Sammy is following Big Daddy Tyrique. Oh, what has my Oga done that I can try and do? Because I don't know when that transition happened between Sammy and Jess doing and being who they were and also becoming girlfriend and boyfriend. I'm sorry, I definitely didn't see that happening. So of course Sammy was like, I've got a little plan, XYZ, I need to get everyone to the terrace and then I'm going to pour her down here and then I'm going to tell you, like, Tyrique, or can you guys help me? And everyone's going to come out, oh yeah, be my girlfriend. I was so surprised. I genuinely didn't expect it, and this is what I mean. Either producers are missing scenes out or the connection there is just not buzzing. Okay, it's not buzzing. Of course, guys, I was screaming. They were playing Casey and Jojo All My Life. Nah, and it wasn't even the real one, it was a remix. Like, you know, the country remix that they like to be using. I was actually screaming. But of course, he ended up asking her to be his girlfriend and she said yes. I feel like every year we kind of get this, and is it Liam that invented this little speech thing? Because he is actually so annoying for it. Every year we get a little speech thing from someone and then we get the rest of the villa to come in and either say one word, say one line, say why they love you, say why they're beautiful, and just get everyone involved. But yeah, very interesting because we are literally 2 weeks to the final. Or less than 2 weeks now, because yeah, we're actually less than 2 weeks, guys. Wow, that came out quickly. But we're less than 2 weeks to the finals and none of these couples move me. Not one. Scary. Now, of course, nighttime came. Abby was talking to the girls, saying she just doesn't really know about Scott. Like, I just don't know. And they were telling her, you know, you need to follow your intuition. And Lockham was telling Scott, you need to pattern up, okay? Or you need to dead it with Abby. I just don't know why no one can. The thing is that I genuinely don't even feel like Scott is really interested in Abby. I feel like he's literally just managing her because he doesn't have a choice. But why does everyone always get onto Scott when he's in a couple? I don't understand the obsession. I find it very strange. They always get onto Scott. They always question if Scott is genuine. You remember the whole Catherine situation and Tyrique, Big Daddy Ty and his minions were here. Yeah, I feel like it's not about what you feel, guys. I mean, I'm my own person and you should be your own person as well. But of course, you guys know we ended up getting a glimpse into Sunday night and the parents are actually coming, which is very interesting because you guys know the parents only usually come when we are actually in the finals, aka the final four couples. And then we got a little glimpse of Molly's dad asking Zach, oh, if we can have a quick chat. I was saying this to my sister. I hate when people always say, like, it's even like when you're at work and people are like, oh, can you jump on a call? No, I don't want to talk to you. I actually don't want to talk to you. Like, why is it always my fault to have a quick chat with people when they want to have a quick chat with you? I don't know, maybe I'm just problematic. But nonetheless, guys, that was today's episode. I'd love to know what you guys actually thought of the episode down below in the comments as well. As always, today is, not as always, sorry, but as you guys know, today is Friday, so there's going to be no review tomorrow. But we are going to have a lovely chilled weekend and we're also going to be back on Sunday. So definitely be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and also join the family. But other than that, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for your love and also for your support. This honestly was was it our first week being back from Greece? Yeah, it was our first week being back from Greece and the love has been absolutely amazing. So I want to thank you guys so much for rocking with the girl and for sticking with me. But yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend. Please do take care, stay blessed, and I shall see you on Sunday. Bye.